Welcome to our seminar today called The Four Pillars of the New Retirement: Health, Family, Purpose, and Finances. I'm very excited to hear this presentation today, and we have two wonderful speakers with us today, and I thank you so much for your time. I'll give a brief introduction and then I will let them take it away. So again, please feel free to put your questions into the chat as we go. With us today, we have Sarah Resnick, who's a financial advisor with Edward Jones and holds the Certified Financial Planner and the Comprehensive Financial Planning professional designations. She's worked in the financial industry for more than a decade, and Sarah partners with her clients to help them accomplish their long-term financial goals. Also with us today, we have Ali B, who will be leading the Health and Purpose presentation. She has 20 plus years in the health and fitness industry, including specific experience in sports medicine and public health. She has an MS degree in health science and a BA in kinesiology athletic training. Ali believes that the purpose of her life is to be a force of creative energy, inspiring you to thrive. I look forward to being inspired today. I thank you both, and I will turn it over to Sarah.
Hi, thank you, everybody. We'll share my screen. Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. As Martha mentioned, I am Sarah Resnick. I'm a certified financial planner, and I love what I do. The easiest way I like to explain how I partner with my clients is I've been called a financial Sherpa. So I help my clients by helping them climb the mountains to the goals that they want to accomplish. I help them get to retirement. More importantly, the heavy lifting happens when they retire. And so I make sure that my clients don't get down slippery slopes. We navigate the turns together, and it's an honor to be here. So thank you for that. We know that retirement is changing. This past year, Edward Jones partnered with the Age Wave on a study that included more than 9,000 people in the United States and Canada from 5 different generations. Our questions focused on retirement and how opinions are changing. Our goal was to better understand how life in retirement is different. I have to say, we've learned a lot, and I can't wait to share it with you today. So we're going to start with the 4 pillars of retirement. So in this study, we asked people, how do you define retirement? Starting with the blue section, see the circle in the lower left, some people said that retirement is a time for rest and relaxation. And I'll tell you that COVID really changed a lot from my perspective. I've been calling it the great retirement, and probably most of you on this call today are retired. But there's a lot more right behind you. COVID, I think, gave all of us time to pause and reflect, see what was really important. Some of us maybe even struggled with possible mortality, and it gave us a really big perspective. So moving up to the left side of the circle, you'll see to the white and the green sections, we heard from them, it's a continuation of what life was, and even that it was a beginning of the end. And I've seen that too. A lot of my clients that have retired actually never really retired. They just knew that they didn't have to work anymore, and they still continue to do what they do, but their mental phase is different. So the beginning to the end, but today the majority of people are represented by the gold side of the circle, thinking about retirement differently. Today it means a whole new chapter in life. Retirement brings new choices, new freedoms from any work, responsibilities, and just time to do all the things that you never got to do. So there's several reasons behind this new definition, including that lifespans are a lot different, new technologies, and we'll discuss those in a slide. So we're going to focus on the 4 pillars of retirement. We're going to start with health, family, purpose, and finances. Ali's going to help us quite a bit on the health portion. Statistic for you, 9 out of 10 adults over 50 are defined health as being able to do the things you want to do. And this is what I really think is interesting. Nearly all retirees, 96%, said that in order to live well in retirement, health is more important than wealth, which I totally agree with. There's no point in having stacks of money and you can't take it with you. I remember that book in elementary school. Healthy people and wealth are inherently connected, and Ali's going to delve into this a little bit more. People with financial resources can invest more in their health, while those in poor health have a harder time enjoying things that their money can buy. When we talk about health and retirement, we both physically and mentally. So then we looked at how people rated their health across the generations. Now here on the left side, you'll see on the screen, physical health clearly declines as wealth ages. Let me go back to this. But you see physical health clearly declines as we age, no surprise. But on the other hand, mental health rises as we age. keep this in mind because it speaks to the importance of purpose later on. COVID, we talked about COVID a little bit. The increase in mental health is further emphasized when we consider the effect of COVID. We asked respondents if they'd suffered mental health declines since the pandemic, and the chart speaks for itself. It seems that older Americans, represented by the far right of the graph, were far less impacted mentally by COVID. Their life experiences have fostered the strength and the confidence that they can weather the storms together. And I saw this a lot with the Gen Z and millennials. Isolation was a really big problem for them. So I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to go ahead and tee it back to Allie, and she'll take health from there, and then we'll go back to everything else.
Great, thank you, Sarah. And I just wanted to say I feel so excited and so grateful to be here to share with you. I want to start by saying it's like at this point in your life, there's two skills to mastering an extraordinary life. And I believe that's what we're here for. We're here to feel good. At the end of the day, at the end of our life, that's what life's about, is feeling good. And so there's these two skills to mastering an extraordinary life. And I'm sure many of you have achieved, if not all, the first, which is the first skill is achievement, right? So achievements when we start out in school and then our careers. So it's always great to master the skill of achievement. And the second skill to mastering an extraordinary life and feeling good, which oftentimes many of us don't think about, and at this point in your life where you're at, is something to really think about, is the skill of fulfillment, is the art of fulfillment. So mastering the science of achievement and all the achievements that you've had throughout your life, and now thinking about, if you haven't already, is the art of fulfillment. And oftentimes, people can have all the wealth and all these great things and these achievements, and we want to be mindful as well to master that art of fulfillment. So I'm going to share my screen as well, and I want to show you that just by being here today, I want to commend you for being here and show you that you are well on your way to a higher level of wellness just by being here. You could be doing so many other things. And so I really want you to commend yourself for taking the time to be here to learn and grow, because that is going to help you achieve that fulfillment and that higher level of wellness. So I don't know if any of you have seen this before. This is what's called the wellness paradigm. It's also known as the illness wellness continuum. And today I just want to share with you just an overview, just to gain awareness of where you are and start thinking about where you want to go and how you can close the gap to lead that fulfilling life of feeling good. And I just want to give you a little quick overview of the difference between health and wellness. So this is the wellness paradigm. Health is what you'll probably think of as, the absence of illness. And there's actually 6 pieces of wellness, and our physical health is just the first piece. So if you're very interested in this, I do encourage you to Google this or look this up more later. There's a man by the name of Bill Hetler, and he created these 6 dimensions of wellness back in 1972, actually the year I was born. So there's actually 6 dimensions of wellness. And we often just focus on that first, I call them the 6 pieces. And so we often just focus on that first piece, which is our physical health. And actually, if we look at the 6 pieces of wellness, which I want to just introduce you today to start thinking about, you have that physical, and then the I is intellectual, which is your mindset, as Sarah was talking about, which is your mental health, your thinking. Mental means thinking. The quality of your thinking. And then the E is your emotional health, which is your feeling. The C is your connectional health. We are wired to connect, as Sarah was showing the statistics on being in this pandemic situation and how isolation can affect us, is we are wired to connect. And that is an important component of wellness. The second E stands for environmental, which is, of course, your community as well as your home environment, but also your internal environment and at a cellular level. And then the S is spiritual health. So those 6 pieces of health are total wellness. So what I want you to look at this today is, if you see that center point is that neutral point. And if we're talking about physical health, we're talking about what we may know as homeostasis. And our body's always going to try to keep us in homeostasis, where our temperature, our blood pressure, our blood sugar, those physiological variables are balanced. And if you start to go towards the left, if you start to get signs or symptoms that you're not feeling well, and remember, these can be in any of those 6 pieces, right? So even you can tell by, your mental and emotional health, as well as your physical health, is to just have awareness of those signs. And, if we start to get a cold or a flu, we get signs and symptoms, and typically we turn it back around and get back to that neutral point. If we don't, then we start getting more, chronic illnesses and diseases, and worst case scenario is that premature death. But again, I want to tell you the good news today, and I really want you to feel this, is look where you are. If you're here today with Sarah and Martha and me, you are already past neutral, because you're here getting awareness and education so that you can grow and reach that highest level of wellness. So I really want to commend you for taking the time to be here with us to gain this awareness and education. And I want to just say that awareness is the number one thing when we do want to reach higher levels of wellness. Is having that awareness again of where are you today and where would you like to go? So the second slide that I'm going to show you is we're going to kind of take like a bigger step back, and I'm going to show you some of those areas, and I want you to look at it and kind of see where you think you are today. So it looks like this. Okay, so if we take that illness wellness continuum and we bring it out, so I just want you to take a couple moments and just kind of look through this and look at those energy levels, your ability to handle stress, the quality of your sleep, your physical health and symptoms, and then the mental health and emotional health. And as you're looking at this, I want you to know, and I say this to everybody that I teach and coach and speak to, is this is a rule that I have, is there's no judgment allowed. Okay, so that's how we learn and grow. And I'm going to tell you after we look at this, is that there's 3 decisions that you're making every day that are affecting the quality of your life. And I'm going to share what those are. And it's just reminding me of that, because I want you to, there's no judgment allowed when you're looking at this. It's just, what is the actual truth of your life today? And where do you want to go? And that's empowering, right? So you can look at it, this is an empowering way, again, that you are here getting awareness and education of the actual truth of your life. Where are you doing well? And where can you strive to improve? Okay, so just kind of look at this, see where you're at. And do take note of how it's making you feel. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so as you're looking at this, I'll keep it up so that if you want to take notes on it at all, but I am going to go into these 3 decisions that you are making every day that's affecting the quality of your life. And I want to tell you that every single person in existence right now is making these 3 decisions. So I make them every day. Sarah, Martha, all of you, my children, your families, everyone in the world, regardless of where they live, color of their skin, age, male, female, every single person makes these 3 decisions every single day, and it impacts the quality of your life. So the first decision that you're making every day is what to focus on. Okay, so whatever you're focusing on is what you're going to experience in your life, right? Focus equals feeling. So whatever you could be focusing on, and so what I want to ask you is, as I'm saying what you're focusing on is, right, you can write this down or just note it in your head, is I'm going to ask you, do you tend to focus on things in your life that you can control, or things in your life that you can't control? Okay. Do you tend to focus on what you have in your life, or what you don't have, or what's missing or lost? And do you tend to focus on things in the past, the present, or the future? Okay, so, and again, there's no judgment allowed here. We're just gaining awareness about ourselves. Okay, so think about it, what you're focusing on. How are you feeling? Think about how you've been feeling, overall. And does it correlate to what you've been focusing on? So if we focus on what we can't control and we don't have, how are we going to feel? Typically frustrated, maybe sad or depressed, angry, right? And these are things that we can control, is what we think about. So I just want you to be mindful as you're learning about this and experiencing this with us, is focus equals feeling. And there's an equation that's called Shinzen's equation. And it's a real thing. You can look this up, that the circumstances of our life times resistance equals suffering. So there's an actual equation to suffering, and we do choose to suffer. And I know that's often a hard pill to swallow. But again, if we want to reach that highest level of wellness and that fulfillment and feel good, which is what we are here to do, I just want you to have that awareness of what you're focusing on and know that focus equals feeling. Okay, so that's the first decision that you're making, is what to focus on. The second decision that you're making is the meaning that you're giving it, right? So as Sarah was showing in her slides about retirement being the beginning of the end, or the, right? And that's the thing. Is this the beginning of the end, or is this the beginning? Is this the end, right? So and this is the only Shakespeare that I know, is that nothing has any meaning except that which we give it. And that's another thing that I want you to get so excited about and so empowered about, is that you get to choose the meaning of everything and anything in your life. So is it the end, or is it the beginning, right? When things happen in our life and we can think, oh, am I being punished? Is this a problem? Is it, or is it an opportunity? Is it an opportunity to see what you're made of, to see how strong you are, to see what you can learn and grow? Right? So is it a punishment, or is it actually a gift? So that's the second decision that you're making, is the meaning of things in your life. And again, you get to choose the meaning. Always choose an empowering meaning, because you're going to feel better. Okay. And then the third decision that you're making is, what are you going to do about it? Right? So that's another beautiful thing, is that you have choice to do what you want to do about it, right? So now that you know what you're focusing on and how you're feeling, you get to choose the meaning of the things in your life, and then so many options on what to do about it. And again, looking at, where are you at? Where do you want to go? And something that I've learned is not like, how am I going to get there? Is who can help me, right? So again, you're here gaining this awareness and this education, and so many resources are available for you. And you were born with resourcefulness and resilience to get you to wherever you want to go and achieve all your goals and dreams. So I just like you to have that awareness of those 3 decisions that you're making every day, and know that you can, if it's working, keep doing it. If you want to get different results in your life and lead your way to that life of fulfillment and that highest level of wellness, is, you can make some other choices and other decisions. It reminds me, just a quick story, I'm going to give it back to Sarah, is that a little tips and tricks I like to give you, like, here's your toolbox, is I was with a client yesterday. She's actually I guess a millennial. She's like in her 20s, right? And I love working with that population sometimes, because it's like, it's like sooner in getting them with the limiting beliefs and getting them to kind of grab onto things. And she said to me, there's something that you taught me that has stayed with me every single day. And it has to do with like looking at the meaning of things and little tips and tricks that we can do. So it was like, when we have these things that we can call problems, or, things, punishments, which we think and say, oh, I have to do this. And she said, instead of using the word have, you change the word have to get. Right? So if you looked at today coming, oh, I have to go to this seminar, I have to go to work, or I have to pay my taxes, right? We get to do these things. So just by little tips like that, is picking always what makes you feel good. And so you get to, retire, and you get to enjoy these things, and you get to choose in your life, right? So you get to do these things. So just a little tip and a little trick there, is that's what I want to leave you with, is just know, always choose the thought that makes you feel good, because it's going to fill you with energy. You're going to reach a higher, vibrant, energetic energy level, and be able to face anything that you have to in your life. So again, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and I'm going to pass it back to Sarah.
I use the get with my 3 kids. I got 3 little boys, 9, 7, and 3, and we don't say we have to go to school. We get to go to school. And
Exactly.
COVID reminded us that we don't always get to go to school, right? So it's all about
Yeah.
perspective. All right, Allie, I will have you unshare, and then
Oh,
I will
yes.
move back into pillar 2, 3, and 4. All right, so let's talk about family. Allie gave a lot of really great tips on kind of mindset and purpose and health and just making sure you prioritize yourself. If we go to family, though, back to the study, the age wave study, we asked our clients, who is family? And this was interesting. We asked people to really define how they define family. If you look over here, only 1/3 family was defined as relatives, represented by the blue. What I've seen more commonly is the 2/3, which is the gold portion of the circle, people I love and care for. For example, it might be an honorary uncle or a best friend or a sibling out of marriage. Perhaps it's just a cherished caregiver, and from Senior Concerns, that probably resonates a little bit more. Sometimes the people that care for you, you have a stronger relationship with family. While this is a broader definition for younger people, it's embraced by those near to retirement. About 60% of those 55 and older define family as people I love and care for. This is Linda Fried. She's a nationally recognized leader in the global field of geriatrics and has done volumes of research. And she said positive, meaningful, and supportive relationships with family and friends are critical to the quality of life and health in retirement. Retirees are consistently saying family is their greatest source of satisfaction, support, joy, and even purpose. Spending time with family, often grandchildren in particular, is always high on the agenda. I see that with my own family. My parents both were working parents, and they were busy 6.5 days a week, and they spend probably 1 or 2 days a week with each of my children, and that's what they look forward to every single day. My kids are lucky to have them. So you see over here, most retirees will rally in support of family members. 7 in 10 retirees, as you can see, the dark blue portion of the circle, said they are willing to offer financial support to a family member, even if it can jeopardize their own financial future. 24 million parents report they are providing financial support to adult children due to the pandemic, and I'm seeing that every single day with my clients. They're taking money out of their accounts to help with lots of different things. Whether that's good for them or not, it's just happening. But too few anticipate how those family commitments, even the common and predictable ones like the need for care, will impact their lives and finances in retirement. They often need guidance to recognize the boundaries of what they can contribute personally and financially to supporting and caring for loved ones. I'm oftentimes the bad one. I am blamed many, many times for my clients having to say no to questions that they're asked. What I also hear a lot is that they don't want to be a burden. 72% of those that we surveyed say that their biggest fear is becoming a burden on their families. And with the sandwich generation, it's more and more something they have to worry about. That could be for a number of reasons. It could be outliving their savings, or expecting Social Security to pay for more than it does, or unexpected medical expenses. If you remember what we discussed in the health pillar, it's one of the big reasons that health is one of the things they worry about. Well, there is a silver lining. 67% of those that we surveyed said that COVID was a silver lining in the respects that they have been spending more and more time with their family. Kind of to the great retirement topic that I talked about, they've decided that things are more important than money, and it brought their families together. Despite social distancing and the quarantines, people have found a way to spend time with those that are most important to them. And also another thing that's great, we work with a lot of great estate planning attorneys. They are busier than ever. The pandemic has prompted millions of people to have an important end-of-life discussion with their families about their purpose, their intent, their wishes, discussions that can make a difference for whether or not their wishes are fulfilled later in the letter. We have clients that actually write out letters of wishes, and we usually roundtable them with their children to explain the purpose of everything that they've done, so that when they're not here inevitably one day, hopefully those wishes are granted a little bit more. We're now going to move on to purpose. Let's look at purpose. Retirees are often surprised to find out how much free time they really have. This graph shows free time from younger generations. I'm right here in the 4.1. I don't think that's true. I've got 3 kids. There's no way I have 4.1 hours of free time, but I wasn't surveyed. But it progresses to the right as the farther they get older. So if you think about all the time you used to spend at work, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 or so weeks a year, now multiply that times 20 plus the years of a retirement. And if we assume that an average retiree has about 20 years in retirement, that's 40,000 hours of found free time through retirement. Most people, when I talk to them about retirement, they oftentimes talk about a trip or two that they wanted to get done that they didn't have time to take off. That's only a couple of those buckets of time. They have no idea what they were really going to do with the other tens of thousands of potential hours they have left in their retirement. So rather than just mindlessly filling the time, they'll experience a better quality of life if they find something that has meaning for them, something with purpose. When we asked retirees what they found their greatest sense of purpose was, it was spending time with loved ones. Rose to the top. There is the integration with purpose and family pillars. Time with loved ones doesn't diminish the other purpose-driven issues. Quality time usually takes on an extra meaning, considering that when they asked what they missed most about work, their number one answer was the people and the social stimulation. And I think once again, COVID reminded those that were around the water cooler how much we really missed just kind of chatting and catching up with people. But I also want you to notice at the very bottom, being financially wealthy also makes the list, but look at where it is, the very bottom. That's because most people don't want to have money just to be wealthy. Many people want to have money to help them live in the way that they want to live, and we'll dive into that further in the finances pillar. The analogy I've used a lot recently is you got to enjoy your shoes while you're in them, and can't take your money with you. So let's make sure that while you're here, you enjoy that. Having a sense of purpose can fill that void of isolation. Older adults who live alone spend an average of 10 hours a day alone, and that's where senior concerns is really important. They oftentimes find great resources to make sure that people are not lonely and feeling isolated at home. That's why it's one of the most important resources we have in Ventura County. And after 65, isolation is actually a greater risk for women than it is for men. See, the light and the men are the light blue and women are the dark blue. And that's because on average, women tend to outlive men, and that's why you see a spike in the 75 plus category, and that's because of the lifespan. So here's the thing. Many retirees struggle to find their sense of purpose in retirement. Maybe it's a lack of opportunity, would be my thought, or not knowing where to get started. And that's what hopefully I'm going to inspire you to do today. 89% of Americans feel there should be more ways for retirees to use their talents and knowledge for the benefit of their communities and societies. And I found that with my own father. My father had a business that he had run for 30 years, and then one day he was retired, and all of that intellectual knowledge kind of went away. So I've been working with my parents to kind of find ways to give back and use all that expertise for the better of the community. Think back to that chart from earlier that shows mental health rises as we age, right? So having a sense of purpose is one of the most important reasons for that trend. Although most Americans believe there should be more opportunities for retirees to use their talents, that means the younger generations want to hear from their elders, from the generations, and share and learn from those experiences. This is clearly something that you can be a part of in your vision for your retirement. What are your passions? What would you like to learn more about? How can you make a difference? And are there financial implications you should plan for? And that takes us into our last pillar, which is finances. We asked people, what does your money do for you? How do you define the value of money? And they overwhelmingly said that money provides security, that security blanket. That's the gold section. And freedom, the light blue section on the right circle. That freedom can be boundless. It's freedom from obligations, from worry, from nervousness. But more importantly, I think it's the freedom to do what they want, to travel, to start a charity, to spend more time with grandkids, work at their church, for example. I hear those experiences every single day. And actually, it's more challenging for my office to schedule our retirees than working people. So I still think that's really interesting, but it's true. So remember earlier that we said that being financially wealthy was only important to a few people. Look at the tiny white segment. That's the people that said it allows me to buy stuff or experience things. Overwhelming amount of people wanted to have security and be able to do things they wanted to do. So as a financial advisor, I get to work every day with helping people build those financial strategies that give them the freedom and security to live out their retirement dreams. And it's different for every single client. But the reality is among investors, overall, it's less than inspiring. Before COVID, only a quarter of Americans were on track for retirement savings. And then COVID. 20 million Americans stopped contributing towards their retirement because we were all scared, right? We were spraying down Amazon boxes with Lysol. None of us thought that, anything would be different, and none of us knew how long COVID was going to last. That presents a challenge. 84% of those that work with a financial advisor, though, felt a greater sense of comfort during the pandemic. Why? It's because we provide the bigger picture. We know how to deal with the unexpected when it comes to financial strategies. We help our clients stay focused on their goals rather than headline news. And we also help them make financially sound decisions rather than emotionally driven ones. And I remember last March and last April, I had lots of people saying that, the world was ending, they need to sell everything. And I told them with certainty, we're all gonna die or the world will recover. And luckily I was right. And if we all died, it wouldn't have mattered anyways, right? What's the purpose of money if we're all dead? So luckily, almost everybody took my advice and kind of just trudged on. This slide, you can see what are those financial behaviors that correlate with a better life, and which of these would you want to prioritize for yourself? In this graph, you'll see the dark blue lines showed respondents that demonstrate excellent or very good financial behaviors, and the lighter blue is those who had behaviors that are good, fair, or poor. The number one financial factor related to excellent quality of life is carrying little or no debt, and that's a common theme that I hear all the time. And also behaviors that contribute include being actively involved in the decisions about your money, having a budget and sticking with it, working with a financial advisor, and learning about financial topics. With some of that free time, a lot of my clients are delving into books that they never had time and understanding how money works and investments differently than they ever did before. So we talked about a lot today. We're giving you some slides, some notebooks to help kind of jot down some notes and to use it as a living plan document for yourself. Your vision for retirement will change. Your circumstances will change. When they do, you get to go back to the workbook. Back to Allie's point, you get to go back to the workbook and update it so you can have all your thoughts in one place when you meet with your financial advisor. Let's recap. 4 pillars to the new retirement: health, family, purpose, and finances. They work together to help you prepare and enjoy a higher quality of life in retirement. Today's retirees have many more choices and opportunities than ever before. We're living a lot longer. Stat I always like to share, and for those that have heard me speak at Senior Concerns before, I always ask why Social Security was set to start at 65. Average life expectancy was 64. So we are living a lot longer. When we're doing retirement, we're planning for our clients, we are often assuming that they live to at least 90. And then inevitably somebody will say, well, there's no way I'm gonna live to 90. And I'll ask them, well, tell me about your family history. Oh, well, mom and dad all died at 65 or 70. Well, what did they die of? Lung cancer. Were they smokers? Yes. Do you smoke now? No. Cancers that killed people 10, 15, 20 years ago, they don't kill us now. We've got so much science and technology. So we have to assume you're going to live a much longer life, and my job is to make sure that my clients live a full life. Keep in mind, retirement is not guaranteed. Nothing is infinite, but if you have a strategy to help you get there, it centers the 4 pillars together. So my closing remarks on how to live your best life in retirement. Understand that health, family, purpose, and finances are highly intertwined in shaping your overall quality of life. It's not that you can't have one without the other, but to be most confident and content, you have to embrace all 4 together and have them work in unison. Well-being encompasses a variety of factors, and retirement is no different. Second, check your action-inaction gap within the pillars. Are there gapping holes? And a little reflection on that work, can you get them to be in line with the aspirations? Finally, don't do it alone. Sound financial advice is invaluable at any stage of life, but one can argue that the stakes are even higher in retirement. This time I'm going to close and thank you all for listening to Allie and I and see if there's any questions.
Thank you so much, both of you. That was so interesting and helpful. I've always been a Sarah Resnick fan. I've had you do seminars for us before, but I've never had the pleasure of hearing Allie speak before. And I'm already thinking I need you to come and do a staff meeting for us because I found it to be very motivational. And people are already asking if they can have copies of those 2 slides that you provided. I did send out Sarah's slides. I have those available. But Allie, if you can provide those 2, I think people want to have a chance to look a little bit more closer at them. I even took a cell phone photo of that one already because I want to add up my score.
Yes, yes, I'm happy to provide the slides, and those 2 slides are actually part of a masterclass that I have. I actually present the 5 pillars of mindset that I teach and coach, and I'm happy to, if anybody's interested in watching the masterclass, it's a 90-minute masterclass on the 5 pillars of mindset, and those 2 slides are part of that. I'm happy to share the link if you'd like to watch it.
That would be wonderful. If you share that with me, then tomorrow I will share that with everybody that registered for today, and as well as the link to this recording. So if people want to go back and look at it again or share, that will be available. Another question asks, what is the formula again? Circumstances times what?
Oh, it's the formula for suffering, because we choose to suffer, is circumstances times resistance equals suffering. So if we resist, whatever we resist will persist. So it's going, I call it like flowing downstream, like we are here to live easy. And I think it's Confucius said, life is simple. We insist on making it complicated, and we really do. And so and that's the thing too, is like when you feel like I showed that signs and symptoms, and you feel like we need to live more by our, our head, our like get out of our head. When we're in our heads, we're dead kind of thing, and live by your heart and feel. And not only physical symptoms, but when you're not feeling right or good about something, that's your like internal GPS telling you that it's out of alignment for who you really are. And that's what that's one of the number one questions I work with clients and my children and my students. It's like, when you decide who you want to be in the world and what you want your life to be all about, and when something's out of alignment, and it makes decision making really easy. So when you have those core values and it just makes it very easy to make decisions. So just know, like, we can't control the circumstances of our life, but we get to decide what to do about them, what to think about them. So circumstances times resistance equals suffering.
Circumstances time. Okay, I wrote that down.
Minimize the suffering, right?
Always. We choose to suffer. We choose. I mean, I call it the 90-second rule. It's like you can sit in it, and then it's like, it's like, that number one decision. What are you focusing on? I call it the grace place. It's like, we always have something to be grateful for. We have so much to be grateful for. When you focus on what you have in your life instead of what you don't have, you're going to feel better, and you're going to have that momentum and that energy to lead you to that fulfilling, high quality life.
We do have something about sort of wearing a badge for being the most busy and the most stressed, right?
Yes.
So we can
It is a badge of honor. And actually, there's a really good book, Essentialism, that I've read a couple times, and it talks about sleep. And it used to be that we would brag about how little sleep we could operate on. And it's really one of the most important things you can do for your body is give yourself sleep. A lot of great CEOs now are talking about that they do not let people check their emails at night. They make sure that their employees are rested, and those are profitable, well-functioning companies because they value the employees' health, which is paramount. Essentialism. It's a good book, though. Kind of talks about just
I love that. That actually, that's so good, because sleep is so important. That's so good that you mentioned that, because, and you see it's in our chart. There's actually, if you, there's a 60 minutes that you can Google. I used to show this to my students every semester. College students, of course, they're known for like their all-nighters and, business people. So it's called the science of sleep. So if you Google 60 minutes, the science of sleep, and it's exactly, they talk about how we think it's a badge of honor, to not get a lot of sleep. And I used to be one of those people. I was a single mom. I am a single mom. And in the beginning, it was like, I was getting 4 hours of sleep, and then it changes your skin. It changes our brain. They show in the 60 minutes how they did brain scans of people who were sleep deprived, similar brain scans to people with mental illness. So it is 100%. Very motivating to watch that 60 minutes and see how important sleep is to your health.
I can even see it with my 3 little guys. If I don't get them in bed by 8:30, they are monsters the next day. So imagine all of us the same way. We all need our sleep. It's probably one of the most important things you can do for your health, which then triggers to the other 4 pillars, the other 3 pillars.
Definitely. And what was the author's name again? Bill something from 6 Dimensions of Wellness?
Oh, the man's name who created 6 Dimensions of Wellness is Bill Hettler, Hettler. And again, you'll see it online, is the 6 Dimensions of Wellness. And for my purposes, I'm always, it's I believe my purpose of my life is to be a creative force, like you said. And so I created the 6 pieces. And I have an assessment that's a really deep, goes a lot deeper than what I presented. I have a link for that as well. It's like about 12 questions for each piece, and you get a score for each physical, intellectual, emotional, connectional, environmental, and spiritual. And I can share that as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have any other questions? Everybody's all set there.
The last thing I'll just mention is it is RMD season. It's a very busy season in our office, and probably most of you know what that is. It's your required minimum distribution. Going back to purpose, remember, there's wonderful organizations like Senior Concerns. If you don't want Uncle Sam to take 40% of your money, you can always take your required minimum distribution, give it straight to Senior Concerns or your favorite nonprofit. Uncle Sam doesn't get any of it. One of my favorite things to remind people of when they complain about the RMD that they don't need to take, I tell them that there's lots of great organizations that will maximize that money, and then you feel better about it by doing it that way. So quick plug for Senior Concerns. If you're upset about your RMD, think of these wonderful organizations in our backyard that need a lot of help. COVID really made a lot of our nonprofits in a very particular space, and they make our communities better. And so if you or somebody that you know is benefiting from these organizations, please remember them.
Absolutely, thank you for that. And it is appreciated. It can go a long way in a small community nonprofit, absolutely. One person commented, I make financial plans, but fear keeps me from acting.
Yes, that's 100% true. They've actually done studies on investment performance, and they've shown that an average investor that does it alone returned about 4%, where the S&P 500, just an index, did about 10. And the number one reason for that is not because they picked the wrong thing, but because of fear. I had a lot of conversations in March and April of last year of people that were going to make life-changing decisions based on fear. And having someone to kind of walk through those decisions hand in hand, who had the expertise and the guidance of a firm that's been over 100 years, is really important. So oftentimes my clients call me for lots of different reasons. Should I buy or lease? I had a client that wanted to take out all of her money and buy a boat, and luckily for her, we didn't buy a boat. So we've done a lot of things together. But I think back to her point, having somebody to kind of run the playbook by and seeing how those decisions impact your financial future is really important. So hopefully, if you don't have somebody, you can find somebody that you can help with that.
So they followed up by asking, is there help to look at what you have without having to transfer your assets to, another financial firm, I assume?
Yeah, so there's different types of financial advisors. I'm a certified financial planner. I work with my clients. I manage most of their money that's to be managed. But there are fee-only advisors that if you think you have everything where you want, you can always just pay a fee-only advisor to do that for you, and there's value to both. So I would give my office a call or give an office and see what makes most sense for you and make a decision from there. But having somebody, however you decide to find that person, help with those decisions is really important.
So fee only, meaning you would just pay a set fee for their consultation?
Yes, for their time. So fee only planners, they charge X amount of dollars every year to kind of run the playbook. I found in my experience that I can do both without it being invasive. But every advisor is a little different. But what's most important is that your audience gets the right help, and there's lots of great people, and find who fits best with you is really the answer.
Absolutely. And listening to a advisor and not just friends and family, right? Because we do know that over the years, the strategies have changed. And so we need to be able to shift with the current times. Wonderful. Well, I am really appreciative of this. And I have a feeling that this one is going to be viewed a lot because there was so many good nuggets to it. She's asking, is CFP the best credential? Because you have 2 credentials.
I have three. I have the CFP. I have the CHFC, which is a very similar designation. Just that the CFP takes about 4 years of study and a very high bar that you have to stay above to keep your CFP. I think that's a great, well-rounded designation. It's helped me be very holistic and very planning based for my clients. The CHFC is one that I got a couple years ago. It really helped me focus on blended families, business succession planning, and special needs. I think those are probably, in my opinion, but I'm biased because those are the two that I spent my time and energy getting. But I would say no financial advisor is equal. You know, time matters. So somebody that's brand new is great, but there's expertise and wisdom in study and education. But I think having somebody that invests their time and money into becoming a better advisor is important.
Wonderful, thank you. I think that this seminar series really leads beautifully into a series that we are starting in January, which is a 3-part series called Shaping Your Last Chapter. And it has 3 parts. Part 1 will be You Are Wiser Than You Think, recognizing and embracing the spiritual gifts of aging. Part 2 will be Creating Your Legacy, understanding and appreciating your life story. And part 3 will be how to make sure your wishes are followed at end of life. So those are all available right now to register for on our website. Again, that's seniorconcerns.org/seminars. So I thank you both to Sarah and Ali for joining us today, and all of you who attended. This again is being recorded, so I will send out that recording and it will be posted on our website, hopefully sometime tomorrow. So thank you everybody for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.